Welcome to the Futtings Intermediate Workshop. A workshop that is for those DJs that can do a 1 hour set. But if you are a beginner, stick around because there is a lot to learn. Join our Discord to become a resident DJ or to download all the music and the tools that we use in this workshop. You can find these in the workshop discussion channel on the TribeXR Discord. If you want to learn how to mix on club standard gear, go to tribexr.com. And if you want to join us every week, go to live.tribexr.com. Let's get started. This is the Futtings Intermediate Workshop.
Let's go! Nice.
Yeah, it's amazing. Cool. Well, I'm happy to be back. It was a long time that we didn't do any workshops, and it's all because I'm here in construction. So right now I'm standing in my living room, and it's there is no furniture. There's only concrete and materials to build. It's a bit weird, but yeah. Well, everything is going okay. So. Yes, and well, this workshop, I want to dive into a couple of things. And well, I first wanted to show how I set up my tracks. And well, we have done this more often in this workshop. I showed this more often, but I think I've got like a better explanation to show and tell how I do this. With the hope that, well, that people might build the same system for their collection, especially when your collection is not that big, then you still have the opportunity to build your own system. Next, I want to talk about preparing a hybrid DJ set, and it's a bit connected to set up my tracks. There is something in there that can help with your hybrid set as well. And I also want to show how I do an ambient set. Because lately, well, I've been listening to a lot of drift radio, also helping to collect songs for drift radio as well, and mixing ambient with other genres. It's so much fun. And it also is a bit different in how I set up my tracks. So I have to be more creative, still doing the same thing with my tracks, but have to be more creative to do the transitions and to collect the music. So let's start with setting up my tracks. And let's just start saying with something that Interstellar always teaches in his workshops. Interstellar always says that 32 beats forever. And this is what he means with this is the following thing. And I can show you on the decks as well by loading in a track. Quickly gonna load in a track. One moment. Yes. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm gonna load in the track that's also on my screen. 32 beats forever. This means that most of the electronic songs like house, techno, tech house, drum and bass, that they all have a structure where if you jump 32 beats, you will land in the next phrase in the entire song. So if I look at this song, and I'm just gonna show it right here. If I use beat jump, page 2, and you could do this during a mix on cue, just checking if this song that I have here is 32 beats forever. If I jump 32 beats, I will land on this part. So I jump further into the track. I will land on the build up, the drop, and then here I get to the ending of the song. This means like there might be some songs that step out of this rule and have a drop 4 beats in between, but most of all songs have this structure of having 32 beats towards the entire track where phrasing starts to change. And that's also why I set up this system, to show myself and give myself a better understanding on the 32 beats, so I can really see the phrases coming in. And this way I could act to that. To show you an example, I have 2 tracks here. Wait. I have... Sorry, a bit too fast. 2 tracks here. 1, 2. And they both have the exact same system set up. So in the intro, I have a 32 beat loop. That is a perfect loop where the vocal doesn't come in and you don't hear it. It is a loop. And when I exit the loop, 32 beats after that, the vocal starts. And it's exactly the same on both tracks. And a lot of tracks have this, where the intro itself is containing 64 beats, 32 beats plus 32 beats. And next, the vocals will start. Well, further into the track, so I've got here my first drop. Further into the track, there will be a breakdown right over here. And next I have the drop right over here. And these markers I set for myself to show myself the extended outro. And the extended outro is also twice 32 beats. And this helps me to get a perfect understanding on when to do an intro on top of outro mix. So I can start, I can press A when C hits. And this always gives the perfect transition. Yes, I do have to listen to it. I have to make sure that the basses don't clash, but in terms of phrasing, this always works. But not only that, it will also help to loop that part of the intro, for instance, on top of the drop, and not playing it, just cueing it and making sure it's beat matched before bringing it in. So this also really helps. This is maybe a bit better. So I've got my drop on this track right over here. And at this first memory cue marker, I can just press A on the other deck. It will start looping, and I can decide, do I bring it in or wait until this moment happens, and then I exit the loop to get the same transition as shown in this example. So it really gives me a lot of time to do my thing. And I know for sure that this 32 beat loop will be perfect in timing with this. Because, well, let's say if I start that loop over here, then this whole structure will have a different ending. And you will hear one track stopping while the other is still building. And I don't want that. I want seamless mixes. So is everything clear so far?
Yep.
Yeah? Cool. So 32 beats forever. And well, it's fun to check this, like load in a track and just beat jump, and you will see like it will be perfect on a drop. And if you have 2 tracks, well, you can do this. Okay, so what? So I was at this point right here. What if I have this loop on top of the drop and just make the track that I'm playing shorter by just cutting it away? So right over here, you see I bring in this track on top of the drop, making sure the EQ is okay. And before the track goes into the extended part, I will make sure to exit the loop on the first memory cue. So everything will be more in front of the track, so it goes easier into the next track, and the vocals will start when I take this track out. Okay, so everything clear so far.
Yes.
I can do one example of both tracks that I have here, just to give a quick explanation. Yep. Cool. So I'm gonna yes. So I will move this track into the drop, and I will hit A on the other deck when I hit this marker. And I will exit the loop of the other deck when this hot cue comes by. Here we go. Okay, going into the drop. Removing the bass, moving the mid, and pressing A at the drop. Beat sync it. I could also beat match it, but I'm gonna use beat sync this time. Already making sure both decks master tempo is enabled, so if I want to go up and down with the pitch, the tone will be the same. I'm gonna hit this first marker, first memory cue, so I'm gonna bring in a bit of mid.
Energy, me put the rhythm in jeopardy. Love on me lyric, them peppery murder your dogs and get charged with a felony. I'm always one step ahead of me.
Yes.
Come up my way, open sesame. Legend is what they keep telling me. That's why me have nothing but legacy. Pull up in the Rasta place like what? Them already know my thing on.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the bass swap on C, and then exit the loop as well. Here we go. Exit the loop. Building energy, lowering the energy. And then the vocals will start when this track ends. Yes. Are there any questions?
No, that's nice. It's like an insurance policy. Nice.
Yeah, it's an insurance policy. Indeed. Cool. So are there any questions or anything you wish as an example to maybe place things elsewhere to show? Because we also could do a double build-up with this system by using this part where I see the markers coming in to go into the drop, and already placing the start of the song at the point where the build-up starts. When this track goes into the drop, I take away the track and let this track go into the drop. Shall we do a double build-up?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Cool. Okay, so again, same two tracks, but I will go from this track into this track. So I will place this song right in front of that build-up, and I will use my call, because it's not only a marker, I can also use to call this memory cue, and then I have to press play the moment where this track hits that first memory cue. So both tracks will line up to go into the drop in the same amount of beats. So this one is set up, called on the memory cue, and this one is going towards the first memory cue into the breakdown. Build up. Let's go. Again, removing a bit of mid, removing the bass. Here we go. I will use a bit of space on the playing track to move out that track as well. Color FX in, and I will enable it at the last moment. Do the bass swap right before the drop. Space. And we're in the next
Nice and
track.
clean.
Yes, right. So, so to go back to that explanation, yes, well, it's like this. It's setting a hot cue on the, well, to start with, because setting a 32-beat loop on a track is not always a perfect fit. There will be a lot of tracks where if you set a 32-beat loop, the track already starts lifting into the next phrase. Like the first phrase is 16 beats and then the vocal starts at the next 16 beats. So a 32-beat loop is perfect if you have an extended version of a track, but it will not always work. And then you have to set a shorter amount of loop. Just make sure it's a perfect loop where the listener doesn't notice that it's in a loop. Then you will be fine. But you can count that this whole section is 64 beats before, well, let's say the vocals start. Because if you have this segment over here, you can always use that on the end of a track. And about the middle, I always set a hot cue on the second drop. And this is also, if I just want to go quick into the track, I could press that hot cue over here. So I will go into the second drop and I can just mix into the next track as well. So I'd never set it on the first drop. I always set this on the second drop of the track. Any questions?
Oh, I like that.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now I want to go into something different, but it does have to do something with preparing my tracks. And that is the naming of the track. As you can see right over here, maybe I can show it better. As you can see it right over here, I always have the BPM and some information in front of the artist and the track name. The reason for this is because I want to know, without listening to it, but just by looking at my collection, I want to know if a song starts with a melody and ends with a vocal in this case, or a song starts with a drum, or a song starts just with sound effects. So I know that if a track ends with vocals, that I don't put vocals on top of it with another track that starts with vocals. So this is for me a perfect way to fit any song on top of another song without clashing the vocals. And also, in this case, it shows that this track starts with drums and ends with drums. So I could fit any kind of song on top of the intro or the outro because it only contains drums. Next, I have the root key. And the root key is very important for hybrid mixing. And just going to show it by enabling the the acid synth. I'm going to play a song and then just load in the acid synth as well. Here we go. One moment. Okay, cool. Okay, so you must see this in terms of when I preparate my songs before I throw them into Tribe, before I throw them into Recordbox. I have a little piano next to me, and I have my song on the computer, right? What I always do with all of my songs, I start pressing any kind of key, and I'm just gonna use a sequence to show it if I was just pressing a key, but with a sequence it will help. To show myself what the root key of the track is. And the root key is a key that sounds good towards the entire song. So I just draw a A. I don't know. I'm not looking at information on my screen. I just draw an A, and I'm going to search which key sounds good by using the transpose button here on my asset synth. But in real life, I'm just pressing the keys to see which key sounds good on top of this song. A. No. No. No.
Go B flat, go B flat.
No. D. D flat.
B flat.
D flat.
Nah.
Nah. Nah.
There.
As you can see, it's F. And as we go into the screen, starts with the drum, ends with the drum, root key is F. And also, I use the BPM not to show myself the BPM on screen, because if I load in a track, I would see it. It's just a double check if this track gets analyzed on the same BPM that it really is. So I want to know for sure, even if I'm mixing on older gear, even if there is like that, I could use this collection on any type of equipment without Recordbox. So also if I don't use Recordbox and I load in these tracks and Tribe shows me a different number, I know it's 140 and I just have to move that to 140.
Can I ask a quick question about that?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
If you have a trance song or something that's like double time, what value do you put in your file name?
Good question. Very good question. Okay, so in terms of my own collection, I'm going to show it really quick by using the POV cam to answer this question as well. Sorry, cameras. Okay, cool. So this is not sorted on alphabet, sadly, but just to show, I've got folders that are numbered on BPM. So I know that in this folder, there will be a lot of tracks with that same BPM that the folder is named, right? And then comes the question, if I have 140 and there is a dubstep track in here, why isn't that set to 70? Only the answer to this question is this: I try to have everything on a higher BPM, and if a genre really doesn't fit to the higher BPM, so I have your folder 80, and in 80, well, you will find hip hop tracks, and I know for sure that these tracks are not 160, because if I have 160, then I'm for sure I will be playing drum and bass or hardcore music. Does that answer your question?
I think so. Yeah, you choose the highest common denominator.
Yeah. And for the really low genres, such as hip hop, which is always below 115, a bit of an assumption, but for my experience, it's always beneath 115. Then I will choose to also give it a lower name instead of a faster name. But I do know that there are a lot of DJs that do this differently, that have drum and bass tracks set to 80. Because they're, well, the BDFX, for instance, acts differently when having the grid larger. Loops will act differently. You can set larger loops, for instance. So there are some positive sides on having it on when having it divided by 2. But I stick to the higher BPMs just to make it all fit. If the music goes faster, it's named faster.
I guess it's good as long as you don't change your mind halfway through and you're consistent.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. With dubstep, there's always a bit of like, it's a hard genre that you can mix with drum and bass. So it makes totally sense to have that in a faster BPM range instead of when mixing it with drum and bass that it doubles when pressing beat sync. You don't want that. Okay, cool. Well, let's go into the next. Sorry, are there any questions left? No. Oh, before I end this topic, just to show how this would look like as a final result, if I'm in Rekordbox or if I load tracks here into Tribe, you will see that everything is set up the same. And with shorter songs, the length, the amount of space is different when having larger songs. So it also makes sense when looking at your screen and seeing the 32 beats. It will give a better visual of the actual waveforms when setting these memory cues in front of it. And also, well, for the tracks, you can see here. So if and the BPM as well. If I see this, well, I already can see I could mix a lot of tracks because there are a lot of drums inside these tracks. So this could also already be a perfect playlist to do. I don't know if I can hit a 1 hour set, but these are all my new tracks and this is what it shows. Cool. Okay, well, let's go into a different topic, and that is, well, I actually already named a part of hybrid DJing. Are there any questions about that before I dive into that topic more?
For me.
No? Because, yeah, well, let's just first then go into mixing ambient. And just to show how I would approach this without a without a hybrid element into it. Just gonna move the equipment very fast. Yes. Cool. Okay, so how do I approach ambient set? So, like if I want to do a 1 hour ambient set, I first think of a short mind map. What are the things that I would love to have in an ambient set? And also by listening to ambient sets, this really worked for me as a listener as well. So I do want to collect some ambient tracks that don't have a beat. I do want to collect some tracks that have a beat and have a long build into it. I could add soundscapes like rain or just like environment sounds. And as well, if I have a subject or more subjects that I want to frame around, I could use things like this. So I collected some of these and I want to show you how I mix these and why. Cool. Are there any questions, by the way?
No, that seems good.
Cool. So first I'm going to load in an ambient track on deck 2. I'm going to load an interview on deck 1. And I will load in, I have two options here. I will load in a long progressive electronic song into deck 3. And I will load in a soundscape on deck 4. So I've got all the elements that you see here in the mind map to play with. The only thing that has a typical BPM is the progressive electronic track. And also this track has that perfect 32 beat loop, which I'm going to show really fast. Cool. But I want to start with an ambient track first. So let's do this. Before I do this, I'm just going to make sure that every deck, the master tempo is enabled. So if I use sync and if I start using the pitch fader, everything will be in the same tone. Cool. Well, I'm going to start with this ambient track. I'm first going to show what I do to just change the whole vibe of this. So let this be the master and reset it to 0. Checking the other decks real quick because this one is beat sync, but I want everything on 0. And I'm going to make sure that this deck that has the ambient track is set to tempo range adjust wide, so I can really slow this down or speed it up if I want to. For color effects, I want to use space or cutoff, filter. And for the beat effects, and this is one important thing, I want to use an echo on the ambient track, but I want that echo to resonate with this track that is 118. To do this, I'm gonna hold down tab. I'm gonna switch from auto to tab, and you will see the indicator that you see here, auto. If I press auto tab, it will switch to tab. Then I hold down tab and I use the time knob below, and you will see the BPM above the screen. You will see it change, and I want that on 118. So I've set this manually now. Going to make sure that this ping pong delay is on 1 beat, and I'll remove the low from the ping pong buzz, from the BeatFX buzz, so the low doesn't resonate with the delay. Cool. Well, let's press play and slower the tempo. And you will notice it will get a different vibe when slowing down things. We'll remove a bit of low as well, a bit of mid, so it will be less muddy. I'm gonna slowly slow it down, double grab. Because it's on wide, it really slows down. Next, I will have some words on top of it. More treble, and I will bring this in with filter. Here we go.
Their general sense of trust can be affected. That is, when things don't happen as they expect them to, and there's great uncertainty, and that goes on for, quite a while, or it doesn't, it never gets resolved, or that's the baby's experience of it,
Ping pong?
then you develop this very deep implicit, it's not conscious, it's sort of the background noise, it's the background feeling about life, that life is not a place where you can really sort of let your guard down and trust that the universe is going to bring you good things, that you're being looked after, that someone will be there for you. That is not something that any of us are really conscious of, until we get older and we start hearing about this kind of stuff.
Having some storm in it.
But it's so critically important to our self-confidence, our willingness to take, healthy risks in adult life,
Putting the filter
to have
up
the
of
feeling that we can ask for help or seek out a mentor, for instance, and people aren't going to shun us or not answer us when we make a request of them. That trust is something that can really be undermined.
So it's
and
all
it can
about
be very
the
hard
base
to
of
come
the
back
track.
from that, because they're convinced that nobody wants to hear from them.
Slowly bring that in.
And that they're bothering people. And then the other thing is, of course, the efficacy part is, it leads to that why bother. I'm not
Moving
going
the
to
ping
be
pong to the
able
vocal.
to make things go the way I want them to.
Setting it to
So
2 beats.
not only does it become, okay, so I'm not going to try.
Setting this one in a loop.
Is that it becomes, I'm going to just
Beat matching it with the playing track. Making the loop shorter. Using the filter. Opening it up again. Lowering it down. Moving it away. And we are in this progressive track. So I have one more track to show in this short set. I'm gonna load it in deck 2, because I usually only use these 2 decks for the actual songs, and I use deck 1 and deck 4 for the extra elements. So for this one as well, I'm gonna set a loop first, because I know that this is a perfect 32 beat loop. Press 8 once, it's an 8 beat. Press 8 twice, it's a 16 beat, and press 8 for the third time, and it will be a 32 beat loop. And press play. Do this again with beat sync on. Volume is down, as you can see. But I do have a lot of time left, so looking at this indicator, I still have 4 minutes left. So this also is a track that really fits to having some hybrid elements onto it, because you have a lot of space to play with. Again, loop. Listen to it with Q. Okay, it's in a loop and it fits to this track, but the BPM is totally different. So we have to do something with that as well. So let's dive into a hybrid element. So what I'm going to do is I recorded some sequences, and I want to have these sequences on top of this track. This track is in G, and I named all my sequences in the root key. So I'm going to load in a sequence that is in G. Cool. So what this sequence does is it's playing some notes, and I made it glitch towards the end. So I know there is a perfect loop here, but if I exit the loop, it will be I will destroy the sound. Just gonna check how this would sound. I'm gonna make sure to use key sync as well as beat sync. It's a bit heavy. No, this doesn't fit, sadly, and I have almost 2 minutes left to do the transition, so I'm gonna focus on bringing in the next track and lowering the tempo. I still have this sample left as well, so I'm exiting the loop to make it play again. This goes into the drop. Delay is still in there, so I can bring that in. A bit of scratching. Okay, gonna bring in the next track. Making this one the master and slowly slowing it down. Slowly removing the bass of the playing track while lowering the tempo as well. Exiting the loop of this track. And adding space to the tail of this track.
A little Bjork.
Okay, so just want to show one more track in this mix, if this was a mix, to go back into that first track if I had another ambient track, so a track without rhythm. Loading the track on deck 3. Yes. Just gonna check if I could set this interview in a short loop that would fit on this song. Making sure this one is beat synced. Setting a loop, short loop. And listen to the cue. Yes. Cool. Again, removing the frequencies of the track that I want to bring in. Having my ping pong delay on that sample that is now in a loop. bass, filter, make it open. Pressing play on the ambient track. Removing beat sync, making sure this is a normal tempo. Using the filter on the Bjork track. Making sure the parameter is on 50. And slowly bring in cool.
Wow. That was incredible.
Thank you.
Wow.
Are there any questions? What is the subject?
It's certainly interesting how those spoken word things, when you change the tone of the song underneath it, it stopped sounding like advice and started sounding like excuses.
What?
It was incredible. It was incredible. Yeah.
Cool.
Context.
Yeah. Well, there is a subject in this all. I just want to show it because when I found that Bjork song, it had this title, and then I was just curious on what things I could find about interviews and stuff like that. So I found this a doctor that is telling about this subject, and just recorded that and moved that into Tribe. So yeah, that these things in terms of subject, they also fit together. But I think well, to find more songs with this subject will be hard, but the subject could also be a color, for instance, like it could also be something that is more abstract. But I personally think that having something in the middle to build around in, that really helps to well, have more things connected to each other, and it also makes it more fun because you know that the thing that you're going to bring in connects to the other thing, even when it's not beat matched, because that is why I wanted to show this. The only thing that was beat matched was a loop, and having, well, a loop of the interview, and also having the intro of the Bjork track on the extended outro of that progressive electronic track, and just lowering the tempo down while doing the transition. But not having the tracks totally on top of each other, just really slowly having that movement of EQ, but also slowly having that movement of tempo slowing down. And well, the soundscape is just, there is no beat sync. There's just moving in sounds and moving out sounds.
More like you're swimming.
Yeah, like swimming. So I could really advise everyone, just collect. There are so many ambient tracks on the internet to find, and find some extra material and just try it out. Like try to have something moving, and also try to find like a long progressive electronica song that is in the middle of all of this, to work around it. And another thing that I didn't mention, I played out all these tracks for a good reason, because what I see a lot is that DJs don't play out their tracks anymore. They just move in the next track the moment a breakdown starts happening, or the vocal stops and we go into the next track. With this genre especially, it's really nice to have a full listen. The word progressive is there for a reason. So just make sure to play it out. And if you know for sure that the energy is less at the extended outro, that is just a perfect spot to bring in the next track, like I did with the Bjork track. Are there any questions?
No, thank you.
I thought that was good. I have one technical question related to when you were applying a BPM or a tempo to one of the effects.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
Should I
applying it
show-
to ping pong.
Yep. Should I show it again?
I was curious if it's possible to have that pull from master clock versus just having to manually set it.
Sorry, this question has to land.
So
Mm,
you were setting a BPM manually on the.
Yeah.
So is
Yeah,
there a
we got-
source or a clock source that can pull from automatically?
Yes. Okay, so how this works. Right now it's manually, right? But I'm gonna explain how the the automated version works. How it works automatically. It's like this. Okay, first we're gonna change this to auto, right? Next, the auto feature will be connected to the channel where the player is. So if I want this to have it on 118 again, I'm going to press deck 3 because deck 3 has it on 118. But because this vocal is on another BPM, if I had that on deck 2, the auto will not show 118. So the ping pong delay is not going on top of the ping pong delay on this interview is not going on top in sync with this track.
Yes.
So that's why I switched that to manually by pressing this button over here. So it goes into tab. And next I hold down the tab button and move the time knob to have it on 118. I could also just tap in the rhythm of this track. But you can imagine
Gotta be good.
that. Yeah. Okay, got it.
Nice.
So you can do it like that as well. And like you see, it's on deck 2. So the ping pong of that interview will now be on top of this track. One thing to notice, the 1 of this ping pong delay is whenever I hit on. So when I hit on, that's where the 1 of the ping pong delay is. If I don't want this, there is a quantize button over here. So it will quantize to the beat. Yes.
That's good.
So
Thank you.
it gives a total different result when having quantize on. So check out the effects when quantize is on and when it's off. One extra thing I wanted to tell is, we've got this feature over here that you can use the beats, of course, and you can switch it. But also know that you can also increase the amount by using the beat buttons over here. So especially for something like flanger, just want to show it really quick. Flanger, if I put my flanger to 64 beats, you get like a really long wave. Instead of having it on it's nice to have some longer effects. And well, now I cannot stop anymore. Especially for the Mobius, which is this effect.
The spiral. Yeah.
This is just a weird sound, right? But when having it this on 64, you get this sound.
Auto shepherd tone.
Yep. So I'm gonna move this out when the drop hits. So just, you got access to these sounds by using the beat knobs and increasing the amount of beats that are in the beat effects.
Wow.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of this workshop. And I'm very happy to be back. It's really cool.
Welcome back. Not that you went anywhere.
Well, like I always do. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Are there any questions before I go? No questions?
No, thank you.
No? Well, then I hope to see everyone next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
No problem.